What's going on, John Henry? The in the last video, the one about Brazil, I remember that. All right, looks like there's two people here. I spread the link out pretty far, further than I normally do. I normally don't share links to these around really at all, but I just got out of YouTube jail, so I figure I'm probably not getting promoted on YouTube for sure. Oh, good. Yeah, I didn't know how that video turned out. Really, I didn't know how I felt about it. It's a dry topic, but it's useful shit that people need to know about. And I get asked about economic stuff a lot. This is another topic I get asked about a lot. So give just a second. Ooh, just a second to see if anybody shows up from some links I dropped, and then we will jump into it. I'm glad she liked it. You should encourage her to subscribe. So my current goal is I've got 2 strikes on the channel, and one of them rolls off at midnight. Then I'll be back down to 1. And when that happens, I'll relist a bunch of videos I unlisted. But my current goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers and get monetized before Flow State gets axed for good, because it's going to happen. I just can't. It's going to take more than threats of deleting my YouTube channel to get me to shut the fuck up voluntarily. Yeah, I've been playing around with this topic for a minute. My target audience is anybody who's interested in it. The topic is brought up mostly by C.S. Joseph, since he's offering parenting classes and he's, making some social media splash for himself by trying to type his 6-day-old son, which is absolutely absurd. But this is a topic that's been in the back of my head for a while. And I was talking to somebody on Facebook. Oh, yes. I was talking to somebody on Facebook, and she asked me she basically gave me an outline for this video topic. She asked all the questions in a sequential order. So I'm going to read that comment and follow through and just kind of hit the whole thing. Am I moving to BitChute? I have a BitChute channel, bitchute.com/c/flowstate. Not this video, but all my other videos. It's in the show notes, the link. I encourage everybody to subscribe to that. I back up everything there, and then there are also some videos there that are too spicy for YouTube. And I do need to make a backup channel for YouTube, but I just haven't done it yet. And there's a lot to this topic. It really should be. Yeah. I'll maybe get into that later. I would like to see some of his, if anybody has access to his parenting videos, I'd like to see one. I'm just kind of curious. But I sure as fuck am not paying to get behind the paywall. Man, and people pay for it. Here's what C.S. Joseph is. He's got great SEO, search engine optimization. He makes stuff. He comes up in results. He's got that promotion angle down pat. And he's basically a preacher. He's on his pulpit, he's talking fast, he blah blah blah. Throw a little bit of accusation in at the audience to put them on their heels a little bit, and it's a good initial sell if you don't know about type or if you're susceptible to sleazy salesmen. All right, shall we begin? We shall begin. Let me find this comment, and I will share screen. All right, so in the ego hacking recovery group, which is basically a group of people who are not fans of C.S. Joseph, a woman posted videos of her 7-year-old, and I'm not going to share those, but she posted some videos of her 7-year-old and kind of talked about him and acknowledged that you're not supposed to type kids, but then was suggestive about the type he was. And I saw this last night, and I left I basically pissed on her parade. My comment says, he's not displaying type. He's smart and curious, and you're proud and projecting. At 7, he's just beginning to develop executive functions, which is not a type term. I don't mean cognitive functions. It's higher order psychological development. He's just starting to develop executive functions that will make up his personality. His academic bent is typical developmental sponge brain. So he's curious about a lot of stuff. And I'm saying that's not indicative of a cognitive function or a type. He's just 7 and curious. Granted, he is smart, and not many kids are competitive at that age. She was suggesting that he's not interested in sports, implying that he's not an SC user. I said, 7-year-olds just aren't competitive unless it's like the runt who's grown up around a bunch of older siblings. He's a boy. Then I have to. I don't mean to be a blanket. He's smart as shit, and you should be proud. I'm just not down with people trying to type kids. And Charmaine Frost gave me this excellent question I'm going to use for an outline. Hopefully she doesn't mind me sharing this in a video, but here we go. Taylor Briggs, good point. Kids can go through developmental phases that resemble a function such as YYY phase. Maybe they really are exercising and trying to figure out different functions in these phases so that later a bit of even low ranking can be accurate. So before 6, you can just assume it's always developmental phases. When there's a process that children develop through, and it starts with sensory. It's always sensory. Come to the world. They have to set up the sensory connections. I mean, it's the building block of everything. They have to get orientated to their world, used to taking in information before that they can then start processing information. And childhood development, there's been a shitload of studies on this. So I'm not making this up. I'm not speculating. I didn't, I'm regurgitating research, and I'm doing it sort of on the fly. So if I make a mistake or say something slightly wrong, bear with me. But Initial stage is sensory. And that's basically the first year, maybe 2 years. After that, you start, well, I've got a chart here that I can share. But my response to that would be anybody 6 or younger is absolutely not demonstrating a function at all. Kids who are under 6, 5 or 6, depending on the kid, but their brains are in a different, I don't remember which wave it is, theta, delta, one of the Greek letters. It's basically like a hypnotic state. And at those young ages, what kids are doing, they're just absorbing. And they're building synapses. If you look at a brain scan of an infant, and the number of synapses they have very few. And then if you look at one of a 6-year-old, they've got a shit ton, because those first 6 years of life, you're just absorbing and building connections and forming. Then after that, if you look at like an 18-year-old, they've got fewer synapses than the 6-year-old, because what happens is when a child's developing, they start out just building, absorbing, building synapses. Then at about 6, they start thinning them out and culling the herd. So the first 6 years of life, you're for sure not going to have any projection of personality, personality type. Let's see, stages of development. So birth to about 2 is sensory. 2 to about 6 is pre-operational representation. So first stage, you're interacting with stimulus in the environment. And then once it's gone, it's gone. After that, you start to recognize that it's concrete and it exists outside of your periphery. Now you're building a conceptual world outside of you, from about 2 to 6. And during these times, you're also developing through emotional, interpersonal sort of phases, which starts out, newborns don't recognize they're separate from their mother. Then you get babies that realize that they're an independent being, and they're selfish as fuck. Very ego driven. It's all about me. I want this. I want that. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to throw a fit in the grocery store if I don't get my fucking candy. And then after that, typically, towards the end of 4 or 5 and up, I'd say, depending on the kid, they start to then sort of realize that there's more to the world than just them, or at least learn how to interact with the world in a way that is more conducive. That's actually what narcissism is. As I understand the research on it, narcissism is when people are stuck in the developmental phase of early childhood development, where they're just all ego. It's all about me, me, me. So early in life, you've got SC. It's going to look like it is SC. Then you're going to have what looks like FI, probably is FI, really, but they're not truly the cognitive functions. This is not a developed person with developed cognition. This is I mean, fuck. Babies are like, how old does a baby have to be before it's really like a person? The first few years of life, babies are basically like, I don't know, human larva, 6 day old baby, type of 6 day old baby. Ridiculous. Um, After that, so adolescence, childhood, 7 to 11, you start to get more complex mental processes going on, logic, reason. The identity starts to form, and then puberty and after, you really form the person that you are. So, you know, if you ask me, I'd say once a kid is done with puberty, not like right in the heat of it, but thoroughly, through, I'd say you're pretty safe then in typing them. I wouldn't do anything before puberty. I wouldn't touch somebody in puberty, especially a girl in puberty. Um, and technically, development isn't finished till your earlier mid 20s. My mom says I'm still not, my brain still isn't fully developed. But after puberty, I feel like you have a good, safe ability to type the person. Now, should you? And again, I'm going to say no. And this is my own personal philosophy on the matter. It's also absolutely practical and logical and makes all the sense in the world and is right. So, what's the point of typing a kid? What's the benefits? What are the risks? Um, the main complaint is that it boxes the kid in to an identity prematurely. This is true. Big problem. There's no getting around it. They just, kids are figuring out who they are. So they don't need to be assigned an identity any more than they already are. People are already assigned too many identities. Your class, your race, your religion, your hometown. I mean, all these identities that you get that you don't want, you didn't choose, they might not represent you. You don't need another one. Another thing is it encourages, if say you were to introduce type into like say a school setting, like you type all the kids. Eric Strauss from TWFP is a proponent of this idea, and I think he's living in a fucking in extroverted intuition land. It's a terrible idea to type a school and then approach schooling through that type-based lens. I think all you're going to do, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to teach kids a new way of clicking up, and they won't use it well. Adults don't use it well. You can look in Facebook groups, you can look at the type community, you can see that easy half of the adults don't know how to use type in a mature way. They think I'm so smart because I'm this type, I'm so special because I'm this type. I've got a huge dick because I'm an ESTP, which is true. But to think that kids will use it responsibly is just, it's absurd. They won't. Kids are mean as fuck. And they will use that shit as a weapon. There's another harm. A huge, I don't know if it's a risk or what. Yeah. A big risk that I see in using type on kids as well is the parents' capacity to properly type their kid. I think that people are bad at typing by and large. People can't self-type. People can't type others. Um, People feel comfortable in typing people before they're competent in typing. I don't know if I phrased that well, but you think that you've got a grip on typology and that you understand it well before you understand it well enough to know that you didn't understand it well. And in my experience, that's particularly true with the perceiving functions, because on the one hand, sensing is such a basic thing to explain that people don't understand the nuance of it. While at the same time, intuition is difficult to explain. It's kind of gobbledygook. And so people are also confused on that. So um, there's a real impulse for people to start wielding type before they're ready to, which normally doesn't matter. But if you're typing your kid and then wanting to act on that, that matters, and that kid doesn't have a say in that. That problem's made even worse by the fact that people project all over the place, but parents projecting into their kids is especially a big risk. So, not to put anyone on blast, but like I said, the post that sort of spurred this whole thing off said, you're projecting. You're proud of your kid and you're projecting. That's great, but that's not good for the kid. Parents, teachers, schools, grandparents, churches, society already has enough mechanisms to try to mold a kid into what they decide it should be. It doesn't really work ever, because nurture is much more powerful than nature. I'm sorry, nature is much more powerful than nurture. And it just creates headaches for everybody. Parents feel like they're failing because their kid isn't turning into the thing that they're trying to design, and kids end up having a hard time with their parents. It's just a whole bunch of bullshit. I don't feel like adding another mechanism to that sort of dysfunctional dynamic is helpful. Quite the opposite. Let me see what else. Get out of here, notifications. Infants and toddlers generally look SE focused. That's true. That's true. Because they're biologically primed to build sensory motor skills and learn the basics of interacting with their physical environment. They may look feeling focused because they're learning the basics of human bonding, and because they die without bonding to caregivers. Right. Covered that. How old should a person be for reliably typing them? Covered that. We supposedly have neuroplasticity throughout life, suggesting that type change may be possible at any time, although such extensive rewiring may only follow extreme trauma. So I'm not trying to get too far off topic, but I do have some training, some formal training in personality type systems. I was actually in a different system, not MBTI. It's called Culture Index. And in 2017, I had accepted a job as a consultant and sales rep for the firm. I got trained by the founder and his wife, and I quit my job at the bank, and we were getting ready to relocate back to Kansas City, but I wanted my daughter to finish out the school year. in between quitting the job at the bank and moving back to take the job with this company, I ended up getting raided by the cops. That whole shit show went down. So I never actually ended up working for the company. But he does still want me to work for him because he saw my profile. Actually, I took their test for one of my job applications. The owner saw me and said he wanted me to sell his product. And I actually talked to him. He sent me a Facebook message 3 weeks ago, touching base. The offer's still on the table, but it's commissions only gig. And I was in a lot more, my financial situation in 2017 was better able to live out of pocket for a year than it has been since. I'm still thinking about it from time to time. But anyways, the point of that is that in this system, we actually go over stretching outside of your set personality. So in the culture index I'm trained in, when you take the test, it's job setting specific, you get back 2 results. One is you, and the second one is how you perceive this job requires you to behave. And the closer the 2 are, the better the job is suited to your personality. The more difference there is between your baseline personality and what you perceive the job requires of you, then the worse fit it's going to be. And what this company's found through its research is that people, adults, can not change. People can behave outside of their norm for varying amounts of time, depending on the person. I have high elasticity. I can act outside of my normal character for longer than most people. But really, people are who they are, and people come back to their core personality. So if I perceive the job needs me to be super polite and put up with people's stupidity, I can only do it for so long before I turn back into my normal charming self. So I'll never wait another table again. I'll live in a refrigerator box in the alley before I'll ever wait another fucking table. I don't give a shit if you think that steak is medium rare and you order medium. This is fucking Applebee's. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, people can. I know people like to think that they can change type, and there's no proof you can't change type, at least in this system, but you can't really change type. You can't change your personality once it's developed. And post-puberty, you're kind of there. I think that anybody's anecdotal experience will reflect that as well, that you're kind of the same person that you were at 15. Like, obviously there are a lot of changes, but you don't feel like a different person. But if you think back to when you're a little kid, that feels like a different person. Let me check some of these comments before I continue on. And I'm going to go from the bottom. Hi, Winston's mom. That'd be a fun test to take. I did not. I'm still doing a lot of things, and I kind of like it this way. I don't really want to get another job, the boss and shit. If I can manage to keep myself afloat by having lots of hustles going on. So far, so good. Of course, I've been helped by the fact that I'm doing well in the crypto markets, and that won't last forever, but I agree. Uh, can't beat the young at heart. Young said, "We are born of a certain nature, while our nurture shapes us. We develop complexes and base our judging functions on the archetypes." Um, yeah, I think that we are born of a certain nature. I would agree. I think nurture way stronger than nature, and if you look at studies of twins, that seems to confirm it. I mean, you can just see it in families. I mean, um, I come from what I didn't realize growing up, but learned later in life. My family is all kind of aggressive people. I'm like the nicest one in the family. I didn't get it until I was my self awareness on certain things like this is shockingly slow to develop. But I think I was probably married. I was probably 24 before I realized exactly what people have been telling me my whole life. They're like, "Your family's intimidating." I'm like, "Whatever. You don't know what you're talking about." And then at some point, I looked around at other people's families and went, "Huh, my family probably is intimidating." And huh, we're not angry at each other. We just, this is how we have conversations, by yelling and telling the other person why they're wrong. Both. Um, both. So something interesting about this post uh, is the woman uploads a couple videos of her son. He's 7. She describes him uh, as academic. He he's smart. He knows a lot of stuff for a 7-year old, and he's articulate. And she doesn't specifically type him, but there's a strong implication or suggestion the whole way through that he's um, an intuitive thinker, which I already have a problem with, because if you think that being intuitive or being a thinker means that you're more likely to be smart, you misunderstand the tool, you misunderstand type. And I'm not saying that as some sort of principle. Truly, if you think that thinkers or intuitives are more likely to be smart, you don't understand type. Um, but sort of as a counterpoint in my own head that I didn't bother writing out was her son actually was myself. So I'm an ESTP, but at that age, I could name every single dinosaur that you'd show me. Well, at half that age, I could name every single dinosaur. I could pronounce it. I still know the difference between an ankylosaurus and a parasaurolophus. Um, she mentioned he was into some sort of nature thing. I went through a huge phase of, I was obsessed with the ocean, and I just sit and draw ocean animals. She mentioned his academic inclinations and how he's articulate. Um, I got a perfect score in English on the ACT. These are things that I'm an ESTP, I think, pretty clearly. I'm a caricature of my type. But you could point to all the same things about me, especially when I was younger, and it'd be totally misleading. And So I don't know. I don't remember where I was going to land that thought. MBTI is the shittiest of all type systems. The only thing MBTI is good for is introducing people to type and I guess giving us the acronyms and terms because I still refer to myself as an ESTP even though I'm basically always thinking in socionics terms. I do not believe you can change type. I think to some extent, yeah, that's true. I mean, you could recognize certain things, um, certain social behaviors with peers. You can see that young. So I suppose the introversion extroversion axis. Can you guys hear this floor squeaking? Or is it just me? Um, hold on. This is driving me nuts. All right, that annoyance was almost that was going to end me. Oh, somebody was walking upstairs and the floor right on the joint was just squeaking, squeaking, squeaking. It's like somebody was just standing on the seam of the floor and going, uh. Where was I? I don't remember where I was. Yeah, that is true. I tested well. I was 1 point away on the ACT. I was 1 point off from getting the Bright Flight Scholarship, which means you just automatically get $5,000 a semester for your test score. I took the fucking test 7 times. I got the same score every time except for the two I was hungover at. Um, I'm not a speed reader. That killed me every time. I just can't read fast. The flying dinosaurs are pterodactyls. You can do anything that you want in a CSJ system. You can change types. You can be all the types. You can be fucking fairy tale characters. I don't even know. There's too many possibilities in CS Joseph's type for me to keep track of, or for a grid to really do justice. You need like a cube. You need a Rubik's cube. Type Rubik's cube. Typing your 6 tails, son, is amazing. It's amazing that what's amazing to me is not that he made this claim because he makes absurd claims all the time. What's amazing to me is that he made the claim, right? Like he's talking, talk too fast, says some stupid shit, and then instead of getting the fuck back from this claim, like he should have done, he should just distance himself from that. He doubled down on it and he tripled down on it. He went all fucking in on trying to claim that he could type a 6-day old. Like he's just so determined to push this pile of shit past the finish line. Nobody believes it except for the handful of people who are just doomed to believe whatever bullshit they hear. But he's not convincing anybody. I just can't believe that he chose this battle for himself. Um, oh, that's where I was. I think that introversion and extroversion you can see earlier. Because it's a poorly created system that takes Jungian psychology, which is it takes psychology, Jungian psychology, depth psychology, whatever. It takes a deep topic and refines it down to like some BuzzFeed sort of quiz quality. What type of with MBTI the test is set up poorly. I mean, am I glitching? Um, Isabel Myers Briggs, who developed it, I have her book somewhere. I just don't like anything that she did with Jung's work. I think she bastardized all of it. Um, but it's how people get introduced to the topic. So hopefully people take the MBTI introduction and realize that this test is a product, it's a tool, it's not a good representation of the study behind it, and it inspires them to learn more, like it did for me. And yeah, and your personality type, it's just one part of the whole sort of psychology, philosophy, spirituality. There's I don't know whether it's a science or a spirituality or voodoo or astrology, whatever it is. The study of people, personality type is just one sort of part of that, really, in my mind. But I do think that everything is psychology. Everything in life is psychology. It all boils down to psychology. Everything that you see, everything that you hear, um, everything in life is psychology. You have to understand the psychological games if you're going to move through life and be able to be not a useful idiot and a sucker. Yes, you can. It's pretty common too. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but it is more common than not. Hold on, let me try something. All right, my internet should get better here pretty quick. I I unplugged the extender down here and forgot to replug it back in for this because I just don't need to be microwaved constantly unnecessarily. Jung had a lot of insight into, I guess I don't know how to explain it any better than that. He understood people on a psychological and more than that, like spiritual, for lack of a better word. He understood people in a way that, and he wouldn't, I don't know, maybe he was taught this stuff, but as far as I know, he sort of originated most of his work. His ability to understand this stuff about people, um, and be the originator of it is astonishing, really. Um, I believe, yes, as far as I believe he's still licensed. I don't know if those expire. He doesn't do it actively. Yes. Yeah, we were just talking about that. It's, I mean, I couldn't, I still am mind boggled that he thought it was a good idea to make a video trying to push that steaming pile of shit into something believable. Like, I used to work in a nursery. I saw the signs. So what? Like, do people understand what a 6-day old baby is? They're barely opening their eyes. They're just like laying there with their feet curled in. Yeah, you know, it's like there's no communication going on here. There's certainly no cognitive functions being displayed. It's it's just from top to bottom, it's absurd. Well, and Jung also gets into the esoteric, sort of occult realms a little bit, which I think is good. A cult truly doesn't mean like we sacrifice babies and wear black robes. A cult means hidden knowledge. Occulted knowledge is stuff that's been hidden from the public, like all the psychological, the ways that we tick that are used against us all the time. That's why society is in such shambles and everybody's at each other's throats because we're just in the middle of one huge, constant psychological attack that's really been turned up to max the last year or two. It's always been there, but now that we're in the Great Reset, they're really turning it up. That's why cities are burning and shootings are happening, and everybody's wearing masks and scared of each other, thinking the other person's stupid or taking experimental. I mean, the whole thing. Everything people are doing right now is the result of this psychological operation, this sort of occulted knowledge that gets used against the unwitting public. Well, yeah, I mean, um, I don't know if I'm following you. MBTI as a tool. That's why I like it. Yes, not interested in young. Okay, can't do nothing for you. MBTI is way more useful as a fun. Okay, but see, fun pop cultural tool is things that are fun and pop cultural are not useful tools. They're recreation, their leisure. Um, I mean, they might be interesting, but they're not tools. I wouldn't want to try to approach the world and understand other people through like a fortune cookie reading, you know, or what other sort of simple, entertaining, not useful tool. There's an inverse relationship between something's simplicity and its uh, effectiveness, in my opinion. That's why when I hear people say things like, I've heard this quite a few times, I like C.S. Joseph's model because it's simple and easy to understand. Well, motherfucker, I got news for you. I'm not sold. Taylor, people got along fine with Jung for a long time. The world didn't start with Jung. Again, I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure what you're objecting to. I think that you like MBTI. That's fine. But just know that personality, Jungian psychology can be understood much more thoroughly than the sort of back of the cereal box depth that you get out of MBTI. And by MBTI, when I'm talking shit on MBTI, I'm talking shit on like the actual the official MBTI, the test, the Isabel Myers Briggs, not MBTI as in the type community and you know the you know, Dave Superpowers and Megan Lavotas of the interwebs. I think that a lot of people have put a lot more depth still under the flag of MBTI. But yeah, and I think that Freud is kind of a piece of shit, really. Like, I'm not a fan of Freud. I'm not a fan of his cousin, Bernays. Um, I think that, well, they're just chills for the elite of their time. Jung studied astrology and he was trying to find the science behind the mythology. Do you know about his red book? His book on Pisces? I do not know about either of those things, but I do have to admit that I'm kind of fascinated by astrology right now, particularly Vedic astrology, which is, you know, I always liked the fact that typology was more like psychology than like astrology, and I could be like, me, I'm not an astrology douchebag. This is psychology. Well, now I'm kind of turning into an astrology douchebag. I don't understand how astrology works. I don't know how to look under the hood and read a chart. I don't know what fucking thing is in what house, but um, I know that the things it tells me about myself is pretty fascinating. That's what this is about. Yeah. No, John, you're the way that you're boxing in your own thoughts, like I can only think over here, I can only think over here, like that sort of restrictive mindset. It's not useful. It's not godly. It's fearful, self-restrictive, and it's based out of fear, irrational fear. Um, so you'd be well served to get over that, but I know how hard it is to dislodge people from the unfortunate aspects of dogma. Um, I don't know about this, so I'm just taking mental note that I need to learn about it if it's that important. Moving on, I agree. You can still be Christian and study Jung. In fact, you should study You should understand what it is. You could be mistaken. Your impression of Jung could be wrong. God gave you a brain. I'm sure he wants you to use it, and not avoid using it. Pop culture does matter because it influences people. But you're not using pop culture to influence other people. You're the recipient of pop culture. Not everyone needs to. You can go to whatever depth you like, but you shouldn't be scared of something that you, yeah. Don't let dogma keep you in mental chains. Yeah, it's with dichotomies, and it is devoid of cognitive functions mostly. Um, my biggest problem isn't even so much the dichotomies, as I think dichotomies have their place as much as everybody likes to talk shit on them. Um, I think that they do have their place, but my biggest issue with her is her descriptions. The way that she phrases things and describes things, it's not neutral language. That's why you get a bunch of new people thinking that they're intuitives, so they're special as fuck, because the system she created, if you read the list of words where she describes intuitives and sensors, it's basically like creative, imaginative, awesome, insightful, big picture, boring, routine, plain. It's just, there's no way to read this information and receive it objectively. Uber Boyo has a good channel on Jung and his take on astrology. I listen to Thinking Neo for the audiobooks. Winston's mom. I am interested in the things that you refer me to. I also have a shit memory, so you might remind me in an actual comment if you think about it later, because that is true. Jung did believe in God. I'm not convinced you know about Jung enough to dislike him. You're resisting too hard. You're resisting too hard after saying that you only really know about MBTI or care about it. So there's a rift here. Um, well, I don't know what to tell you. Mine's not. Mine's creepy accurate. Denishta. I'm far enough along to know that I am K2. K2. I'm a Shweenie. That's really the only thing that's on the tip of my tongue. The last thing I was listening to was about K2 men, which is Ashwini MAGA, and one other thing. Well, dogma is a control mechanism created by man. It bastardizes whatever was created by God in order for man to exercise control over other men. So I'm Sagittarius. God damn it, you guys are gonna make me pull it up. Yeah, Upton Place, you should give it another shot because I lived 33 happy years thinking astrology was bullshit. And then somebody showed me like the right astrological report. And it's like, oh, fuck. And it got detailed enough to where you can see like specific dates, like when I got raided and thrown in jail. It's like, oh, yeah, right here. People could look at my chart and go, yeah, right there, kind of early middle of 2017, you got some karmic shit coming around. Um, Kicked my ass. But let me find my thing. The thing about astrology is it's like looking under the hood of a car if you don't know the flux capacitor from the drive shaft. For me, like I don't know how this shit works. I don't know how to look at a chart. I don't know what houses or moons or ascendings or descendings or any of this shit is. But I want to just put in the inputs and have it tell me about myself. I just want to hit the gas pedal and go somewhere. I don't want to take it apart. Let's see. What's this, Mom? I don't like. I'm looking at my report right here. I don't really even know how to explain what I am to you, but I'd be happy to send it to you if you want. Um, Send me an email if you would like to see my thing. When it says, Mom, my Vedic report. I don't know, maybe my thing too. Uh, there's my email in the chat. You want to, if you're interested, in my Vedic report or in possible dick pics. No promises. I'm just not taking it off the table. Well, that's fine. Nobody's going to make you check things that you don't want to. But you're not going to convince me, and I don't think you're convincing anybody else that it's that you're avoiding it out of a rational. I don't know. Random name. You as well, if you're interested in seeing my Vedic chart, can send me an email and I'll send you a copy of it. I really don't know how to read this or explain it. I'm a Ashwini Shaktra. My ascendant is Aries. Ashwini Nakshatra. Yeah, my nakshatra is one of the wilder types. I'll leave it at that, I guess. At least from my limited understanding. Um, Most likely to be a serial killer too, by a huge margin. So watch yourself. I missed some comments. I'm not going back up except for this one. It was trying to link the ties stars, may do certain things. Yeah, I mean, on somehow things are impacting each other. I don't know how. I don't understand it. Probably somebody does, but my bro, we got on big five. I also had average extroversion, had super low agreeableness. What was I? Medium extroversion, almost medium low. Super low agreeableness, medium high openness, low neuroticism, very low neuroticism. There's one more. Oh, conscientiousness. I was like middle conscientiousness, but it was very in the subcategories of conscientiousness. It was a very clean divide. It's like half of conscientiousness I was all in, and half I have nothing to do with. Woo 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 woo. We should go kill people together. Who should we kill first? I know who I'd kill, but I can't say it here. Huh. I don't know. That might be hard to find. Well, I don't understand how people could be introverted. Like, also, yeah, no. Alone time, not about it. 2 hours. 2 hours is the max alone time that I'm down with. And then I need to get some attention on me quick, or else, you know, things stop existing. Well, let me jump back over this comment um, and see if there's anything left in it that kind of got off topic. But I think I got through most of what I wanted to hit. She does say we're not going to type a week old infant because that's crazy. In a nicely placed jab at C.S. Joseph Einstein, the hubris, the lack of self awareness it takes to make that stupid ass claim about typing your 6 day old baby and then to cover your ass, compare yourself to Einstein. Like it just takes such a lack of self awareness. It's almost like he's bipolar, almost like it in that. Babies have different temperaments in the crib, some placid, some demanding, some loud. That is true. I don't think that's really a reflection of personality, though, so much as like jaundice, whatever's going on. And then she ends with, is the preschooler with imaginary friends an intuitive? Or is he or she just going through a developmental phase using fantasy play to cement skills and work out how to interact with the world? That's kind of an interesting question. I don't know. I would suggest it's probably just um, it's not reflective of cognitive functions. But to be completely honest, I never had any imaginary friends. Um, I mean, there were like imaginary bad guys if we were playing guns or something. You get your toy guns and act like you're shooting a fucking swarm of aliens or whatever. But that was sort of a very limited. My ability or my yeah, probably ability too. I didn't conjure up imaginary entities except in super limited context. And it was normally initiated by actual external stimuli, like me and my homeboy are playing guns, which is basically still what I would be doing as an adult if it were legal for me to play guns. So I appreciate you doing the momming. Yeah. Like, subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. I'm mentioned earlier, my current goal is to Flow State's going to get banned from YouTube at some point. I've got 2 strikes. One of them rolls off at midnight, so I'll be back down to 1 strike. But um, I'm too noisy and I say too much shit like these false flag shooting attacks are going to keep happening until they pass gun control because that's why they're doing them. I say shit like that and I won't stop. But I do want to try to get to 1,000 subscribers before I get banned. I don't know why. So if you're not a subscriber, I'd appreciate it. I'm rounding the last 100. Welcome. You're late, homie. Interesting. Interesting. Um, I keep myself out of this conversation. I don't like speculating on his type sense. There's no way to prove it, and so I just keep my thoughts to himself. I don't think he's the type that he thinks he is, though. Oof, man, that is that's a whole nother video. That's too big a topic. There you go right now. Starting to wind down. I gotta go feed the chickens. I have chickens now, by the way. I own half a flock of chickens. And y'all thought Bucket Farm was just gonna stay in the buckets in my garage. No. Hmm. Well, teach their own, I guess. If they're cool. I agree. And well, I mean, I don't personally, I don't think that any parent is going to be able to alter the type their kid would have been. I think that nature bursts through nurture no matter how hard they try. I mean, I turned into an ESTP 8, no matter how much people tried to stop me. Um, God damn, I got in a lot of trouble when I was younger. I was never worried about getting in trouble. I didn't give a fuck. I'm gonna do what I want. Come at me. What are you gonna do? Ground me? Okay. Take you away. Okay. Oh, I'm grounded. Oh no, I snuck out. Oh no, you caught me. I'm grounded again. um, it wasn't until I was looking at 15 years in prison, and I was like, you know what? I don't really want to get in trouble anymore. This shit sucks. Welcome. I don't know what aphantasia is, um, but no, I wouldn't. I would say that don't have a particularly strong imagination. Never really. I mean, it worked. I did play pretend a lot, when I was a kid. Your little toys or action figures, whatever. I did it, but it just was never vivid. I also don't really, um, side note, I really don't have much of an internal monologue. Sometimes I do, but mostly my thoughts are not articulated. Sean, this that question he asked about super ego block, that's a good topic. Holler at me if you want to do a video and address that topic sometime, not right now. The fact that they keep striking me just eggs me on. I can't, like, two of my three copyright strike, or not, they're not copyright strikes. Two of my three violations that I've gotten are for cyberbullying and threatening, or no, cyberbullying, whatever. One of them was cyberbullying Hillary Clinton. Seriously, for fuck's sake. Think Hillary Clinton gives a shit about my channel? I will continue to do exactly whatever I want to do, exactly when I want to do it. And, you know, I'm, let's say it's a hobby for me. It's not, I don't rely on it for income. If I was a big channel and this was actually my job, then I would tiptoe through the tulips a little more. But as it is, I mean, it's a hobby. I do, sell typing services and a few other things. By the way, if you're interested in getting typed, you can email me, and I offer basically you send me a video of you answering some questions, and then we have a face-to-face consultation. I tell you what type I think you are, and we kind of go through your answers, and I tell you what I saw. So if anyone's interested in that, send me an email. My email is somewhere up in the chat, and I'll put it in the show notes after this is over. And I got some Patreons. I got about 10 solid patrons who have been with me for some time now. But yeah, this isn't a job; it's a hobby. Um, the income I receive lets me do little things like, well, get a computer. Yeah, you got ducks? Right on. Yeah, we got 40 chickens. I need to do another bucket farm video because bucket farm has turned into farm. What I'm learning is I don't like chickens. They, I don't like being in the chicken coop. It fucks up with gives me a cough like that fucking dirty ass chicken air. I don't like chickens. They're greedy, gluttonous little bastards that storm you the minute you walk up. I don't even understand what you're trying to describe here. Mind's eye, but with hearing. Sounds like you're describing auditory hallucinations. I have had those. If you stay up too long, by about day 4, auditory hallucinations start to happen. Uh, you know, somehow for you, Sean, I don't think you're full of shit when you say that. But just for you, I don't think it's the norm. Um, they weren't black, and I didn't really get my ass beat very much. No, I didn't. I did grow up around a lot of black people. Um, I never really got my ass beat. Mm. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I have trouble. I mean, I can do it. It's just not high resolution. I'll forget what people look like. That was actually something interesting about being in jail. I was in jail about, well, I guess the longest stretch was about 3.5 months, maybe. Um, Boy, by the time I got out of jail, I couldn't remember what a fucking person looked like. People need to stop being such crybaby ass pussies. Hillary Clinton. It was. Yeah, I'm rapping. Yeah, that fourth day is when the sounds start. I don't think I ever had a psychotic episode. Um, yeah, I can do that better. I have a stronger audio memory than I do visual memory, I'd say. By Elon Musk, don't do it. Elon Musk is a wolf in sheep's clothing. All right, guys, I got to go feed the chickens. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the things. Um, Email me if you're interested in Vedic astrology or uh, getting typed, or just want to be like, what's up, dog? Don't send me dick pics.